What's up, guys? Rick here with your preview for this week's PGA Championship. If you are watching on YouTube, you can probably see that I am not at home because I'm already in Charlotte. I'm looking forward to getting out on to Quail as early as possible, though I'll tell you what, the weather forecast on Monday looks really bad. 2 inches of rain. The course might be closed. So the first time I get out there might be Tuesday. We'll see how that goes. But either way, I'll provide as much information as possible. But we're going to go through everything about this golf course, the field that I can think of. We're going to use data. We're going to use visualizations and models and all that fun stuff. And we're going to take you there right now. Big announcement out of the gate here. If you saw during Masters Week, Splash Sports and myself, I have a great relationship with them. We collabed to give away an all-expense-paid trip to play a round of golf with John Daly and myself. It's craziness. We drew the winner. He's from Canada. We will get that. We'll get him all situated. We still have a spot available in that foursome, right? That's kind of the idea here. So any entry that you put into a PGA contest on Splash Sports between now and the US Open is an entry. That's it. It doesn't matter if you are successful, unsuccessful, if you win all the money, if you lose all the money. It doesn't matter what your position in those contests are. If you're entering, it's an entry. The big guaranteed contest for this week is a $75,000 guaranteed $25 entry. That's different than what we did for the Masters. It's a lower buy-in based on some of the feedback. It is fully guaranteed, so someone is going to win $25,000 off their $25 entry. It's very, very simple. All you do is you pick 6 golfers, one from each of 6 tiers. Your 5 scores count. You can win money for this week, and then, of course, you'll be entered into this draw where you'll be able to play golf with John and I at a golf course that I know you're going to like. I've heard the short list. I know you're going to like it. Here's a golf course that I like. It's Quail Hollow. This is a golf course that we have a lot of data on. Now, it's gone through a couple of renovations in the last handful of years. It has been moved from the PGA Championship around on the calendar, but all in all, the statistics around what drives success at Quail Hollow are the same. And you could argue are more magnified in 2025 based on what we know about the changes that have been made for the PGA Championship. This is a golf. First off, look at the scorecard here. I love the average scorecard where the natural ebbs and flows of this golf course. 1 through 6, hang on to your pants, right? Every single one of those holes likely to play over par, if not significantly over par. Your chances, 7 to 15, you've got all the par 3s in there. And then the green mile, 16, 17, and 18, that is where a championship is going to be decided. It's likely to be 3 of the 4 most difficult holes on the golf course. Love the ebbs and flows of this scorecard and where you have to take advantage. If you look strictly at the key stats model, and this is a week where I think course history is important, obviously, because of how sticky the course history is. But if you look at the model likes distance, it likes approach play, it loves off the tee. So that's obviously a combination of distance and accuracy and the way that you're able to beat your peers in those categories. And when you start looking at why that is, it's pretty simple. You know, the angles and lines that you can take at Quail Hollow, if you just have a little bit more distance than everybody else, or just like 2 more miles an hour of ball speed, 3 more miles an hour of ball speed, that translates to like 40 yards in some scenarios, right? There are, especially on the front nine, there are a lot of shots where if you can carry X number, you are going to be in a much more advantageous position. Not dissimilar to what we saw at Philly Cricket Club last week, but in a very different way. Last week, it was just, you're going to bomb it over all of the trouble. This week, it's like you're going to get better angles, you're going to get better access, you're going to have a more direct line, so you're going to have a shorter approach based on being one of the top, let's call it 5% of drivers in this field, something like that. So we are going to look at bombers, especially, I mean, we're supposed to get 2 inches of rain on Monday. We're supposed to get another half inch of rain on Tuesday. it's going to be wet. It's going to be soft. It's probably going to play even longer than the 7,600 yards, or excuse me, 7,600 yards that it has on the scorecard. I mean, it's going to play longer than that. But these are new greens. The greens are only 2 years old, so just almost no matter how much liquid, what am I trying to think? Water gets onto these, moisture gets onto these greens, they're still going to be pretty firm. So long hitters who can spin their wedges or come in from a high apex. That's another thing. If you can't spin it, what's a way to stop your ball? Trajectory, right? What I'm describing should sound like Rory McIlroy, because Rory McIlroy has won at this golf course, 3 or 4 times. He is dominated at this place for a reason. The course key stats are sticky for a reason. We're looking for bombers, apex guys, length. We'll go through it, but those are the things that are really going to translate to success for this week. If you look at the cheat sheet, it's a fascinating top of the board. This is my website, RickRunGood.com. Probably everything you see from this point forward, even the last page, the course key stats, that was my website as well. A bunch of models, a bunch of visualizations only for golf. I only do golf. So I think you should check it out. I love it. I think you'll love it too. The top of the board here, Scottie Scheffler, Rory McIlroy. Let's start there, okay? We'll get to Bryson, we'll get to Ludwig, we'll get to all these other guys. Scottie Scheffler is long enough. People don't realize how long he is because the rest of his game is so good. Also, you can look at this from a couple of different ways. You can sort the results by his PGA Championship history, which is going to be the rotating courses, or you can search by Quail Hollow. He's only played Quail Hollow once. It was at the President's Cup in 2022 there. So he has not played the Wells Fargo Championship in his career. This usually falls at a time where he's playing the events in Texas and major championship season, and it just hasn't fallen onto the calendar for him. So that's worth noting. The last time we saw Scottie Scheffler, he decimated the field at the Byron Nelson. It was a very weak field. He still beat the field average by 23 strokes. It was one of the greatest performances we've seen in recent years, quite frankly, on the PGA Tour. He's nearly a lock to gain 10 strokes to the field. If you look at his major championship record, he now has 4 top 8 finishes in his last 5 major championships. That dates back to last year's Masters. Obviously, that includes a win at last year's Masters. If you go back even another year, it's just as good, if not better. So I have very little concerns about Scottie Scheffler around the fact that, except for the fact that we have not seen him play Quail Hollow in a way that we would have the statistics for, and we would be excited about it. But Scottie is going to be just fine around here. And now we've got Rory McIlroy, who now gets to play his first major championship without the burden of a 10-year major championship drought, without the burden of this career Grand Slam hanging over his head. I'm going to go to the Holy Grail here. I'm going to go to the course key stats page. And what I'm going to do is I've got to open this up a little bit. So everybody in this field dating back to, let's say, 2014. And we're going to raise the minimum number of rounds to something pretty hardy. 24 minimum rounds, okay? Of all the players in this field and all the possible combinations of players and courses, Rory McIlroy at Quail Hollow is the best player course combination. He gains 2.86 strokes per round in 32 rounds at Quail Hollow. That's better than Jon Rahm at Torrey Pines. It's better than Adam Hadwin at the Stadium course. It's better than DJ, Dustin Johnson at Riviera and Hideki at TPC Scottsdale, because it is better than every other player course combination. Again, I cannot stress that enough. It's the best you're going to get. And it is on a course that is very sticky. So I'll pull, just so you can see it on his profile, because it's just wickedly beautiful to look at. The win here last year, the win in 2021, the win in 2015, the win in 2010, and then basically every other start in that stretch was a top 10 of some form or fashion. The way to look at what he did at Philly Cricket Club last week, it's so interesting. I thought he stunk last week. I don't think he played well. I watched every single shot he hit. Didn't look sharp at all. He lost strokes on approach for the first time since Bay Hill. He lost a ton of strokes around the green, the most he's lost in any event in 2025. And he still finished T7 at a signature event. That's the floor, right? That's the floor. His ability, like everybody puts the ball on a tee and hits from the same spot. So, if you were Justin Thomas, you would want every tournament to start 100 yards in the middle of the fairway, right? But if you're Rory McIlroy, you want it to start exactly where these tournaments start because you are getting that built-in edge every single shot or every single tee shot on all of these holes. You think he decimates the par fives at Quail Hollow. He does, but he also crushes the par fours to a clip that we don't usually see at a place like this or par fours in general. It is almost like this golf course is designed for him. Then he's probably going to get the benefit of a longer golf course. The way that they have made some adjustments, like moving some of the tees back, probably helps Rory McIlroy. So I don't need to spend all day talking about Rory, but it is a really, really good place for him to be. Bryson shares a lot of the benefit that Rory does at Quail Hollow. What he's doing off the tee right now, and yes, they calculate it just a little bit differently, but it's very, very similar, and it's obviously a weaker field. But what he's doing off the tee right now is unheard of. He picked up 6.7 strokes off the tee at Live Korea. He picked up 7.6 in Mexico, 4.8 at the Masters, 7.2 in Miami. Those Live golf events are 3 rounds. He has not gained fewer than 4 strokes in a tournament off the tee in any event in 2025. That's mind-boggling. Makes sense, but it's mind-boggling. And again, there's that high floor. He doesn't have to be perfect in the other categories. Now, he's been very good in the other categories. In fact, at majors, going back to 2024, his last 5 major championships are as good as anybody's. The win, the runner-up, the 5th, the 6th. Yes, he missed the cut at the Open last year at Troon, but that last 5 major championships for everybody, Scotty's going to be at the top of the list, Rory's going to be at the top of the list, Bryson DeChambeau is going to be at the top of the list, Xander Schauffele is going to be at the top of the list. Like that is going to be it. It's going to be really impressive. I'm quite bullish on Bryson's opportunities for this week. I'll get you his Quail history here just so that we have it. It's been a while. Hasn't played here since 2021. Finished 9th, gained 4 strokes off the tee, stroke per round. Finished 4th here in 2018. And then when he played here at the PGA Championship, still kind of rounding into the player that he was, or that he is now. 2017, he finished T33. So, I mean, just couldn't be more excited about Bryson for this week. We are not without concern for others in this 10K range. We're going to learn a lot about Ludwig Åberg, talk about guys in their last 5 major championships. Ludwig's last 5 are his first 5 major championships. But I do not like what I'm seeing in these 2 categories, approach play and putting. We are now in back-to-back weeks where he has lost strokes on approach and with the putter. He did it significantly at Philly Cricket, and he was on marquee groups with us. I saw a ton of Ludwig last week on when I was working PGA Tour Live. Did it also at the RBC Heritage. I get it. He's going to gain off the tee here, obviously, but the rest of this game is not sharp enough. I don't know how he was able to muster it at the Masters because that was the outlier during the stretch. Maybe he just can flip a switch at major championships, but there are certainly red flags to be had here. I want to go to Jon Rahm as well, because Rombo has been awesome on Live. We know the record, right? It's like 18 straight top 10 finishes. He's never finished outside the top 10 at Live since whatever. But I actually think I don't think that's necessarily true, because he withdrew in the middle of a round, didn't he? He withdrew, I guess it was a team event that he withdrew during. So maybe that doesn't count for the streak. But no, Liv Houston. Yeah, Liv Houston, he withdrew with a toe injury. That doesn't stop the streak. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But quite honestly, since going to Live, his major championship performances have not been good. Now, his last two have been better. We saw him play well at the Open Championship and play well at the Masters. I am cautiously optimistic here. I love the way he drives it. I'm not sure he's long enough, but I'm not sure he's long enough to get some of the benefit. He's going to have to putt a little bit better than we've seen him putt, or than we saw him putt at in Korea. But I'll pull up his Quail Hollow history, and I don't think it's much. It's not. Missed the cut here in 2021, 58th in 2017. I'm not. I mean, that both of those are so long ago. I'm not worried really about either one of those. So just like cautiously optimistic. I think Bryson's in a better spot. I think that. Quite frankly, Xander's in a better spot. Xander's nuts right now. Another guy that I saw probably basically every single shot from last week also doesn't look very sharp, and he is still putting together a T11 finish where he played much better over the final 3 days. Xander Schauffele, last I checked, and this was like on Sunday in the middle of the round, was leading the field in driving distance at Philadelphia Cricket Club. On Sunday, he drove one on number one into the greenside bunker. It was like 30 yards, easily the longest drive of the round. On number two, he drove it greenside again. They're both par fours. He is very long. He was averaging like 330 on the measured driving holes last week. The rest of his game is not as sharp as it was in 2024. A year he won two majors, of course, is not going to be that sharp. But I'm so impressed with how long he is. I'm impressed with the way that he has been knocking off the rust. He has 4 straight top 18 finishes now. The T8 at the Masters, the Truist, he finishes strong. I'm buying. I'm continuing to buy. It is coming for Xander, and I think it's coming quite quickly. I mean, we've talked about everybody else in this range. Might as well talk about Colin Morikawa. He's probably going to end up being the odd man out here. I worry that this place is too long for him. I worry that he is still susceptible to some really bad shots and some really bad rounds and some really big moments. You know, what he did on Saturday at Truist, just like out of the blue, loses 3 strokes on approach. Like it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable for a golfer of his caliber. It's unacceptable for him to finish the way that he did there because he played like 63 really good holes. And we've seen that a lot from him recently. You know, Heritage, he kind of coughs it up a little bit on and around the greens. If you look at his history at Quail, I'd be interested to see what it is, because this is going to be a very, very big ballpark for him. Played here in 2024, finished T16, relying on the putter that week, and then he missed the cut in 2023, which kind of feels, I mean, I don't think he's going to miss the cut this week, but it feels like a pretty tough setup for him. I've teamed up with DraftKings to share the good news that you can play free for millions in prizes. New customers can now deposit a minimum of $5 and receive a chance to play free for millions of bucks. If you've ever wanted to get involved, now's the time to do it. Use code RickDFS and I'll see you on DraftKings. The $9,000 range is pretty interesting here because we've got obviously some great names, but I think this is where skill set's really going to matter. There might be 7 guys who can win this golf tournament. It's kind of how I feel about it. Joaquin Niemann has been awesome. He's been awesome for 2 years. He's perpetually winning all over the globe. I don't think this is a great spot for him. He hits it so low. I think you're going to have to hit it long and high, and I just do not think that this is a particularly good spot for him. Hasn't played here since 2021. He finished T18. In 2019, he finished T38. Those are just kind of medium level results. I look at his major championship history. It's not good. He's got one. Does he have one top 20 his entire career? He does. It was the 2013 Masters. That's not good enough for the player of his caliber. So I don't. He has not had success at majors, and this is what I believe to be not a very good setup for him. Justin Thomas. Justin Thomas is about to make himself a little mini career right here, right? He wins at Harbor Town, was feeling it at Philly Cricket last week, and actually put together what is the best stat profile that he's put together in a long time. His stat profile, for me at the Truist, was way better than what he did at Harbor Town. The way less reliant on the putter. He barely gained with the putter. He was elite on the second shot. He kept the ball in play and drove it well off the tee. That is what you're going to have to do. The rough's a little bit up, right? They're going to start it at like 2.75 inches over seeded Bermuda, right? So it'll be a little bit difficult to judge. It'll be probably wet depending on when this thing gets started or how it gets started, and will probably grow throughout the week, right? So he's going to have to find fairways. He was awesome at Philly Cricket Club. He really was. And now he's going back to a place where he's won one of his two PGA Championships. So, right, he won this in 17. Here he is, Quail Hollow, 2017. Plays here all the time. Has a lot of decent results, mostly in the top 20 range, top 15 range, but that win there, I mean, these are all positive results for Justin Thomas, and clearly he has found something right now. So, yes, excited to see what he does. Excited to see what Patrick Cantlay does. We talk about Patrick Cantlay a lot on this show, and he pops in every metric. He shows up everywhere. He finally has now, he's now gained strokes putting in 2 of his last 3. That was a really big problem. He still, makes a really bad bogey, not a bad bogey, but makes a bogey late on Sunday as he's making a charge at the Truist and backdoors his way into a top 4 or a T4 finish. Like, I hate that too. But he doesn't necessarily have to win at this price. He has been the best ball. I'm just going to do this. I don't know what the answer is, but he is probably one of the better ball strikers in this field since. What do we want to do here? What can I do to get him to the top of the list? All right, he's getting a stroke per round ball striking since the start of 2025. What about since the start of 2024? Any better there? No, maybe worse for old Patrick, unless I just skipped through his name. I don't think I did. No, I didn't. It's a half stroke per round. So that is, I thought it would be better than that, but it at least is indicative of the improvement that he has put together from 2024 into 2025. His major championship record, probably not good enough for a talent like his. Hideki. When he gets it going like he did on Saturday in Philly, there's nobody better in the world. When he doesn't play well, there's just nobody worse in the world. I think he's long enough. I love the way he's driving it. I think that you actually don't think there is a pretty there's a pretty big correlation to the guys who can scramble a bit. You're going to miss a lot of greens here. This is one of the lower green and regulation rates on tour, and at a major championship, you would expect it to be a little bit more difficult. So you're going to miss greens here. You're going to have to get up and down for par. Par is going to be a good score. You're probably going to hear me say that a lot. Getting up and down for par, making those like 6-footers or all that stuff is going to be important. Hideki's short game is underrated because he's historically not a very good putter, though he has shown that he can get scorching hot. The round that he had on Saturday was like his 4th best putting round of his entire career. So he does stand out in the 9K range for me. Jordan Spieth trying to complete the career Grand Slam. Probably too big of a ballpark for him. Shane Lowry, probably too big of a ballpark. Tommy Fleetwood, Tyrrell Hatton, probably the same thing. Doesn't rule these guys out. They're just going to have much more narrow paths to the top of the board. The 8K range and below, like we're already running out of the guys that I think can win this golf tournament, or my skill set guys, right? My stout ball strikers who can hit it a mile. There's only a couple of those on the PGA Tour in the world, so we're already running out of those guys. So we've got to get a little bit different here. Russell Henley for 55 holes last week looked like the greatest player on earth, and then he looked like some of the worst golf I've ever seen, which is pretty rare because he's a much more consistent golfer than that. And even if you look at his major championship record over the last handful of years, you usually do get more consistent results. Played well at the Open last year, played well at the U.S. Open last year, made top 25 at the PGA Championship last year. He made all 4 cuts last year. Missed the cut at the Masters this time around, but he is going to have to be perfect off the tee. He's going to find every single fairway. After that, things should get much easier. Jason Day is interesting. He withdrew last week, right? Withdrew before the start of was it before the start? Yeah, before the start of the Truist. His record at Quail Hollow is it's nowhere near Rory's, but it's very, very good. He won here in 2018. He finished T4 here last year. He's missed a couple cuts in that time, but he's got other top 10 finishes. If you look at his recent stuff, it's a little bit short game reliant, but still a gainer off the tee. Still can pick up 2 or 3 strokes on approach. I like a savvy, I would like to hear him speak and tell us if he's healthy or how he's feeling or anything like that on Tuesday or Wednesday. I haven't seen the press conference schedule yet, so if he's on there, I'll ask the question. But there's something pretty savvy about Jason Day this week. Min-Woo Lee would be the skill set guy, just like the bank on the raw talent. I hate that he has lost the approach play again. We're back into the dismal stretch of play where he's lost like 11 strokes on approach in his last 12 rounds, maybe even more than that. Really, really concerning stuff. The trend here, the trend on Sungjae is, I still believe, to be positive. We've been tracking Sungjae very, very closely for a year. And I feel like he is so close right now. The results are getting better. 5th at the Masters, 11th at Harbour Town. Couple top 30s hits. Excuse me, it's after midnight here. Gained strokes on approach twice last week. Struggled on Sunday. I watched a lot of his rounds. It does look closer. It feels closer. The driver's fine. I'm okay with that. And then the rest of his game's great. Short game's great. Putter's great. I love the idea of, if I need a guy to hit me 2 solid shots, that I can get that from Sungjae. Finish 4th here in 2024. Finish 8th here in 2023. Gained across the board, all 4 categories, the last 2 times he went to Quail Hollow. That's good stuff. Really good stuff. Really hard to do. And I'm going to take a chance and try to be early here on Sungjae. All right, we're getting into it now in the 7K range here. We'll start with Daniel Berger. Then I want to go to Sam Burns for a second, just quickly. I want to go to Finau, and I want to go to Akshay at the very least. Okay, let's start there. So, DB, Daniel Berger, despite the 3.5 strokes he lost putting on Thursday at Philly Cricket Club in 1 round, he finished T11 last week. Dude grinds it back, putts beautifully the rest of the week, picked up nearly a stroke or more on approach all 4 rounds, kept it in play. He's a grinder. This is a big ballpark. He's going to have to play out of the fairway. He is really impressive right now. Really, really impressive. I mean, let's just do it this way. I don't know what the results of this are going to be, and I just closed out my tab. Let's try this one more time. Who are the best players since the start of 2025? Where does Daniel Berger fall into that? He's right here. He's picked up 1.3 strokes per round since the start of 2025. That's better than Tommy Fleetwood. It's better than Shane Lowry. It's better than Patrick Cantlay. I bet you if you go back, maybe the start of 2024 is probably too much for him. It's probably like the fall. If you go back to the fall, I bet you Daniel Berger also gets a little bit of a boost there. Yeah, he played well in the fall. But this is great. He just continues to be himself. Is he going to play? When's the last major he played? Oh, he played. Okay, well, that didn't take very long. He played the Masters. And then before that, it was the U.S. Open in 2024, and then the U.S. Open in 2022. That's what I was thinking of, that long break there. Sam Burns. I had somebody ask me at PGA Tour Studios, what do you think about Sam Burns? I was like, well, he's just like fool's gold right now. I mean, the finishes, the finishes haven't been great, but even the good ones are just reliant on absolute putting the lights out. And again, he did it again. He gets off this hot start. He flashes on top, towards the top of the leaderboard at some point. Did it again in Philly, and then he finishes T30 because he is now losing. He has lost strokes on approach in every event since Torrey, the second one, since the Genesis. That was in mid-February. It is mid-May, and he has not gained strokes on approach since then. It's not a great sign. I wanted to see what Tony Finau was doing, because Tony Finau could conceivably, this could be a place that could conceivably fit him quite well. He's been great great off the tee. The game's not bad. He finished 15th last week, 38th at Harbor Town. Has he played Quail before? He's got to have played Quail before, right? He's been around forever. It's not very good. 52nd, 23rd, missed cut, 60th, 24th. Oh, boy. His best result is a T16 that came 10 years ago. All right, I wanted to be there. I kind of want to be there on Akshay too, but this is even worse. Losing off the tee, losing on approach, losing around the green. Putter hasn't been very good. Certainly, he's played better at Quail Hollow. It's not certain at all. It's probably, yeah, wow. See, this is where we're struggling. We're going to just have to take a couple of flyers. Could we take the Cam Young flyer? He still made a couple of really ugly, he made one of the ugliest doubles on, I think it was Saturday on 18. How did he lose 2 strokes at Philly Cricket off the tee? Picked up 2.5 on approach, putted well. I'm pretty desperate in this range, but I would have to play Cam Young, but I am kind of desperate here. This is a really, really tough spot. The skill set guys aren't playing well, and the rest of them are probably not great fits. So long story short, I think that the 7K range is Berger. I think it is Finau if you're feeling frisky, maybe a little Benny On, maybe a little Cam Young if you're feeling frisky, and then you go down to the $6,000 range and you can get access to Dean Burmeister, who just mashes it. I wonder if Andrew Novak could be interesting here. Let's start with Mean Dean, because we do have the live strokes gain data, so there's no point in guessing. Yeah, continues to drive it well. Has done so through the entirety of 2025. Has picked up strokes on approach much more often than he has lost. He's got a couple of high finishes, top 5 finishes, and a bunch of top 15s this year. Putter kind of comes and goes. Yeah, this is all good stuff. His last major championship was the Open last year. He finished T19. He's actually had his most success at the Open, which is kind of surprising. Finished T12 at Valhalla last year. I remember that. I helped him find his ball on the side of 6 one of those days. But yeah, picked up strokes across the board. Yeah, okay, we can absolutely get behind Mean Dean here at $6,900. Okay, now we get to the skill set guys here, right? Rico Hoey, Jake Knapp. I will even look at Keith Mitchell and Kurt Kitayama. By the way, we play this game you got to bet $10 on the first guy you see when you get to town for an event. Sometimes it's hey, you're walking into the media center, or you walk onto the golf course, first guy you see. The previous record for earliest I saw somebody was, I think it was Valhalla. It was Keegan when we got to the hotel. He was standing outside the hotel. And I was like, oh, Keegan, there's the guy. New record for earliest. Carousel 3 at American Airlines Terminal, waiting for my bag and him waiting for his bag. Kurt Kitayama. And edged out Sammy Valimaki by 3 seconds. Everybody was picking up their bags. So Kurt Kitayama was the first guy I saw on the grounds. There's a fun anecdote for you. Okay, let's do Rico Hoey. Drives it great. We know that. That's his skill set, but he's starting to put together everything else, and the results are coming through. He's only missed 2 cuts since Mexico, 3 cuts since Mexico, but one was the Zurich Classic. but that is much better than what he was doing all of last year. And the results, a bunch of really good results in here. He finished Remember, there was a second event last week. Finished T7 at Myrtle Beach last week. He finished T12 in Punta Cana, T11 in Houston. Those are his three best results. All three of those are in the last 6. He moves it. This is going to be his PGA Championship debut. Good for him. Jake Knapp, good time to start playing better golf. The bar was very, very low, but now he's got a couple of top 25 finishes this year. He's got the third place finish at Zurich. He's got the really good ball striking week at Byron Nelson where he finished T39. And now he gets to go to a place where he can air it out a bit. Let's go to Kurt Kitayama. Can I find some positives for my guy that I'm going to be forced to put $10 on? Yeah, I mean, he's coming. It's been bad, but the Byron Nelson was the best week of 2025 for him by a wide margin. He picked up 7.5 strokes from tee to green. He gained in all 4 categories. He's gained at least a stroke off the tee in basically all but one of his last 20 some odd events. Just very, very good off the tee. So we do get a little bit of a baseline there. What does Kurt Kitayama's major championship record look like? Nothing special. Can never put, has a hell of a time putting on these venues. Very bad putter at major championships. That's strange because it's so many different golf courses, and he's not always a horrible putter. Let's see what he's done at Quail. Played here last year, finished 34th end. Shocker. Lost 3.3 strokes putting. Missed the cut the year prior. Lost everywhere, including on the putting surfaces. So that's the concern there for Kurt Kitayama. Keith Mitchell might end up being your first round leader again, but it's tough, right? Any one of these last 5 finishes you would sign up for right now. They're all 18th or better, and they're as high as a second place finish. But the constant draining of Saturday and Sunday, just like fading, and I mean, dare I even say just like pouting, and he just turns into a completely different guy. He's fun and smiley and cool and confident on Thursday and Friday. Then he gets into the heat and things go sideways. Where's Nicholas Norgard, and how much is he? Have I passed him yet? I see the other. I saw the Højgaards. I saw Rasmus Nergaard. Where's Nicholas? Oh my gosh, they have him at $5,400. Okay, let's go to the $5,000 range. Wow. Okay, I can't even hold it. I can't even hold my excitement in. Regroup, Rick. $5,800. Eugenio Chacarra has been awesome. He's no longer on LIV. He won the Indian Open at the end of March. He finished 4th in China in April, and he just finished T11. I have to update the name of this. It just says Asian event. It was the European Tour does this thing where sometimes they release the schedule and it just says Asian event TBD or something like that. And then the system, I have to update the system later. But he's got 3 top 11 finishes in a row, including the victory. He has not finished worse than 20th in his last 8 starts. He's playing across the European Tour and the Asian Tour. His pedigree as an amateur and young player is phenomenal. He's a very, very good player. This will be his second major championship. It'll be his first PGA championship. I love that Asian event TBD. I just want to go down to him. So Nicholas Norgard, who, if you guys follow along, you know I love this guy, just incredible talent, is the same price as Phil Mickelson. Phil Mickelson, who can hardly compete on LIV, and that is very generous because he cannot compete on LIV, against Nicholas Norgard, the model of fitness, 32-year-old from Denmark, who hits it a mile, who just came off a T5 finish at Myrtle Beach. 2025 hasn't been great to him. He's got a couple of okay results, a little bit of slump in the middle there from Valspar to Zurich, but played better at Byron Nelson. And look at the driving numbers. So we don't have the Zurich numbers because the shot link wouldn't make any sense for that, and we don't get the shot link numbers from Myrtle Beach. which, by the way, I thought they did have Shot Lake from Myrtle Beach last week, but I just checked and I couldn't find it. Picked up 6.6 strokes off the tee at Craig Ranch. 6.6. Stroke and a half per round. Picked up 4 at the Texas Open, 2 in Houston, and I assume he did it again at Myrtle Beach, and it was phenomenal. So really good skill set. He is priced with Phil Mickelson. That's crazy. Now you're getting you're getting into the PGA professionals and past champions. The bottom of this range is probably not super playable. The only other, so I do think there's a big difference though between a guy like John Parry, I believe he pronounces it Perry, I can't remember, who's 5,200, John Catlin who's 5,200, and someone like Marco Penge. I don't know if that's how he pronounces it, but I think that's how he pronounces it. And even Laurie Cantor. Those guys are legitimate touring pros on global tours. And some of these guys are PGA professionals, which no offense to them, but like they're not touring pros for a reason. So Pari, he just won recently, didn't he? Maybe it was his second place. Okay. He won in, oh no, that was a long time ago. He finished second in Kenya. Maybe that's what I was thinking of. But he's coming off a 33rd place finish at the Turkish Open last week. He picked up 6 strokes on approach. Yes, I have the DP World Tour stuff as well. I also wanted to look at Marco here. He did just win. I know that for a fact. Yeah, he won the Asian event, TBD. And then he had a 3rd place finish in South Africa earlier this year, has gained strokes in every event except for the Indian Open, and then missed the cut at the Turkish Open, but missed the cut on the numbers. Is this his first PGA? It's got to be. Is it his first major? No, but he hasn't played a major championship since the Open in 2023. This is actually the guy who got suspended for betting on golf. I think he was betting on himself. I don't remember, but he served a suspension, came back, and won. Good for him. He owned up on it. It was like $17 or something. It was like pretty crazy. Let's run a model. RickRunGood.com. You can put in your 100 weights, and it'll spit out your custom rankings, and then you can export lineups and all that fun stuff. Okay, what are we gonna do here? We need a baseline of 2 things. We need a weighted strokes gain baseline because of how many different guys and tours are in this field. 20 on weighted strokes gain, and then we are also going to put 20 on course history because it is about as sticky as it gets, and it is a major championship, and it deserves it. Okay, then we are going to do driving distance. Wouldn't make any sense if we didn't after all the conversation. We're going to put 20 on driving distance. We are then going to put, I like scrambling because you are going to miss a lot of greens. We're going to put 15 on scrambling. And then we are going to do 15 on strokes gained approach last 36. And then we are going to do par 4 scoring for our final 10. That has historically been a pretty good through line for winners here. And speak of the devil, because the first 2 guys that are in my rankings are winners here. Rory McIlroy and Justin Thomas, 1, 2. Look who's number 3. Look at the rest of this group, by the way. 3 is Keith Mitchell. 4 is Terrell Hatton. 5 is Bud Cauley. Bud Cauley is going to get a big last 36 boost here, I think. Let's see here. Very good par 4 scorer. Very good scrambler. Pretty good at Quail. That's probably old stuff, though. He missed a lot of time. But, yeah, gets the big boost on approach for last 36. Very good across the board there. Bryson is 6. Daniel Berger is 7. Incredible. Corey Connors is 8. JJ Spawn is 9. And Patrick Cantlay is 10. JJ Spawn gets a boost everywhere, really, except driving distance and scrambling. Everything else is pretty good for him. Any other noteworthy? Scotty Scheffler is 19th for me. That's crazy. It's because he doesn't have the Quail stuff. The distance is not as long as some of these other guys. Interesting. Gets a big weighted strokes gain number, of course, but Wow. Okay, we got a lot of work to do. Still way more to come. We've got a Wednesday live chat. I'll be here with CBS Sports doing a ton of stuff all week long. We've got the second cut. We've got just like a million things going on. Can't wait. Stoked. I'm in Charlotte. Let's do it. See ya.